I once had this incident. I don't forget it because it's still very much evergreen in my memory. It's stuck here over time, over the years since it happened. Why it stuck is because of the lessons I learned after that about the unpredictable nature of life, how life goes and how we as mortals, God placed us here, and also our fates and our destinies can sometimes be unpredictable because we are not the source of life. Let me just leave all those preambles and just go straight into it. Some years back when I actually found my first office, it took me a while to actually be able to get the office because I searched everywhere. You can imagine, as a beginner, I didn't really have the resources, so I was just looking for an office, something portable, something affordable. So I finally found somewhere, and you can imagine the rejoicing, you can imagine everything. So by God's grace, I was able to pay for the office. I was able to pay, and very, very small space, but to me it was everything because that was just my very first office. And when I got this office, you can imagine how I pimped it. As much as I didn't have much resources, but I went out of my way to do everything to pimp that office. I did everything, like brand new rugs, everything, curtains, just to make it something worth using, Now you can imagine the euphoria of getting the office, achieving that kind of, status. Because to me it was a status. I hadn't gotten an office before, so that was a status to me. So achieving that kind of status, and it meant so much to me. And you can imagine I was rejoicing, inviting friends were coming in, congratulating me on that feat, because to them it was like a milestone because most of my contemporaries hadn't gotten offices then. But be that as it may, in the midst of all the enjoyment and everything, the excitement and so on, suddenly one day pops up. The landlord. And this property happened to be owned by, I don't know, these properties there, polygamous families and so on. I didn't know who was the main. I know I paid to the right source. So, be that as it may, someone cropped up and he was like, he's the landlord and this and that and that. And before I knew what was happening, he was spreading information everywhere how he was going to deal with me. What did I do? He said he hated the way I walked and the way I carried myself. That I carried myself as if I'm the owner of the property. That the way I carry myself, the way I talk how, carry myself how. My normal way of walking and everything. I didn't know someone was offended. And then the next thing I heard was, I'm going to throw out these properties. I'm going to this. This guy didn't even know who I was and he was already threatening me. He would throw out my properties. He would send the village boys, the community boys to destroy my office and so on, doing absolutely nothing just because he didn't like the way I walked. He didn't, according to him, I carried myself as if I was the owner of the property. No problem. Well, it was my neighbor that told me this, and thank God the neighbor was on good terms with the family. So he went up to the family, discussed with the guy. I told the guy, hey, this guy, you're getting a wrong impression about him. Say he doesn't care, that he doesn't like the way I look. No. So he advised me to go see the guy. I went to see the guy. I was like, guy, what did I do? I don't know you from Adam. I paid to the right source. I heard you're the main landlord. I don't know what offense. I had nothing, but I just feel you have ego. I said, I don't have ego. I'm one of the most humble men on this earth, like Moses. One of the meekest men. After threatening, he piped low. I went back. I couldn't change the way I walked. After some time, I didn't see him again. For some months, I didn't see him, so I started asking questions. Later on, I learned that he wasn't feeling fine and I was permitted to go see him. I tried to make moves and they permitted me to go see him. When I saw him, the sight was horrible. The only statement that came out from his mouth was, Kingsley, I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna die. And he was coughing. Shortly after that, he died. When he was buried, I was called upon to deliver the message in his burial, during the burial service of everybody. The guy who wanted to throw out his things, the guy he wanted to deal with, the guy who was arrogant and proud. I preached to the glory of the Lord a very, very powerful, convincing message. And that day, we recorded hundreds of souls that gave their lives to Christ. That made me think about life. You might be in a position today and think everyone is just nothing, everyone is beneath you. And you use your position to victimize people, to do everything you want to do against people, to hurt people, instead of using your position to build people. You feel you're in a position, and sometimes some of us think nothing can happen to us. Sometimes we don't know what will happen tomorrow. No one knows this life, how this life turns out. The Bible says we're just like a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. After everything, I still preached in his burial, and I watched as he was lowered into the ground. Take it easy with this life, oh. Take it easy. Any place God places you, take it easy. Be humble. Because God despises the proud and